If you're struggling to lose your belly fat, then you're not alone. But you don't need to panic, because today I'm going to talk you through the 8 reasons why 93% of people never lose it. Having helped over 100 people to lose weight and having worked as a coach for nearly 6 years now, I've seen it all. So I can guarantee you that if you're struggling, it's because of one of these reasons. My goal for this video is to give you certainty and peace of mind that you know what you're doing and that you're doing the right thing. But before I even get into the reasons why you might not be losing your belly fat, I want to offer you a little bit of reassurance, because if you're already trying, you're probably closer than you realize. And I can say that with confidence because most people don't realize just how big 1 pound of fat is. So they imagine they have to lose 50. This is how big just 1 pound of fat is. You see, the thing about fat is that it's not that dense. Look how big it is relative to the size of my hand. And the next piece of reassurance that I want to give you is that the way you lose fat is dictated by your hormones and your genetics. And for most people, that means the last place you'll lose it from is your belly. So even if you're doing everything right, and it's a big if, you'll probably lose fat from everywhere else before you lose it from your belly. And the last piece of reassurance that I want to give you is that what you're seeing in the mirror probably isn't all fat. You see, your brain's job is to keep you alive. It likes us to stay in a state that we call homeostasis, which basically means just staying the same. And the more that you go off course, the harder you fight to change and lose body fat, the more your brain is going to fight back. And it does this by raising your cortisol level, which is your stress hormone. And when your cortisol level is elevated, your body is going to hold on to more water weight. And it does this because it's in a state of fight or flight. It doesn't know when you're next going to eat, and it doesn't know when you're next going to get water to drink. It's essentially like it's put you into a scarcity mindset. And your brain is doing everything that it can to keep you the same. Even if you're morbidly obese, it will play games with you. And you already know what this is like because we've all been there. We've all experienced times where we haven't wanted to do something and we've allowed our brain to validate it and justify why we shouldn't do it. And we've all been in situations where we've listened to those validations, where we've listened to those justifications, where we've put things off. But it's important for me to say that because whilst losing weight and burning belly fat is simple, it certainly isn't easy. So as I said, if you're already trying, hopefully that offers you a little bit of reassurance. So the most common reason why people never lose their belly fat is that they're on a diet, but they're not actually in a calorie deficit. Let me explain. You could be on what we call a diet, whether it's the keto or the carnivore or Atkins or Weight Watchers or Slim World or whatever else it may be. But if you're not in a calorie deficit where you are consuming fewer calories than you are burning, you aren't going to lose body fat. You see, all of these mainstream common diets that we've all heard of are methods of losing weight. And those methods all sit underneath the underlying principle of weight loss and fat loss, which is the caloric deficit. And as I said, very simply put, a caloric deficit is where you are consuming fewer calories than you are burning. It's where you're eating less than what we call your maintenance calorie number. This is the number of calories that you would need to eat if you just wanted to stay the same, at the same weight and the same level of body fat. What I advise most people to do is to create a 500 calorie deficit per day. And the best way to do this is by eating 250 calories less and trying to move 250 calories more. But the second thing I would also advise you to do is to look at your calories in the context of your week rather than day to day. Because if you were to try to create a 500 calorie deficit every single day, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it's going to get very boring. At the end of the day, you're a human, not a robot. So what we want to do is take your recommended daily calorie intake, which is going to help you to hit your goal. So your maintenance calorie number minus 500. And then we want to multiply that number by 7 because there's 7 days in a week. And if you do that, you're going to get what I like to call your weekly calorie allowance, which is the number of calories that you can eat in any given week and still lose a pound of fat. And doing this gives you a lot more control and it gives you a lot more freedom. It makes the whole process a lot easier. What most of my clients like to do is start their week with lower calorie days. So Monday through Thursday, they will eat slightly less than their recommended number. And that gives them more freedom and more control to enjoy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, when there tends to be a little bit more stress and more social occasions. And the last thing I'd say here is that if you're new to this, or if you've been on a diet but you've not been losing weight, start tracking your calories. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to create a calorie deficit, how are you going to do that if you don't understand the nutritional and caloric value of the food that you're putting in your map? People see tracking calories as this long, laborious, tedious, arduous process. A lot of people also think of it as a life sentence, that they're going to have to do it until the day they die. But it couldn't be further from the truth. I encourage every single one of my clients, whether they've done it before or not, to track their calories for 6 to 8 weeks. And if they do it diligently, if they do it consistently, they're never going to have to do it again for the rest of their life. And given that you're going to live for about 4,000 weeks, asking you to track your calories for just 6 to 8, I don't think it's too much of an ask. And more importantly, I think it's a worthwhile investment. Doing that, you're going to start to see food like Neo sees the Matrix. You're going to be able to eyeball plates and know how many calories and even the macronutritional split on that plate. You're going to have so much more knowledge and so much more peace of mind that what you're eating is the right amount and that it's good for you. And then it's going to help you reach your goals faster. So if you've never tracked your calories, or if you haven't done it for a while, I strongly advise you to do it. And listen, it will be a little bit arduous, a little bit uncomfortable at the beginning, but any change comes with sacrifice. And ultimately, what you've done up until now has got you to where you are. And I'm assuming if you're watching a video like this, you're not particularly happy with where you are. So it would be insane to think that doing the same thing is going to get you a different outcome. You're going to have to change things up if you want something different. I kind of touched on reason number 2 a little bit earlier, but let's go into more detail on it now. And that is that people go too hard, too fast. They go from doing absolutely nothing to absolutely everything overnight, and then inevitably they burn out. I cannot emphasize this point enough. Patience and consistency are the name of the game when it comes to burning body fat, because a lot of people are actually doing the right thing. They understand their maintenance calorie number, they've created a calorie deficit, they're tracking their calories and they're sticking to their numbers, but they don't feel like they're getting the results as fast as they deserve to. But that's only because we're lucky enough to live in a very comfortable world these days. Whether it's ordering something on Amazon this morning and getting it by this evening, whether it's ordering your favorite food from your favorite restaurant on an app on your phone and getting it delivered to your front door within 30 minutes, whether it's using dating apps to connect with people all over the world, or doom scrolling on social media to get instant dopamine hits. We're not very good at delayed gratification now, but the fact of the matter is, losing weight, burning body fat, it isn't going to happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day, and that means you're going to have to get used to the fact that this is going to take some time, patience, and consistency. The best piece of advice that I can give you here is to not be overly obsessed with the speed that you're traveling at. It's far more important that we point you in the right direction and that you're at the right trajectory rather than how fast you get there. Because like I said, if you've got the knowledge and the tools to burn 1 pound of fat, you've got the knowledge and tools to burn 50, to burn 100 pounds of fat. And surely, if you've got that knowledge, if you've got that tools, doesn't matter as much how fast you get there. What I think is much more powerful is knowing that you can get there. A great visual representation of this is actually the first time that I lost a significant amount of weight. I managed to lose 45 pounds in just 4 months. And truth be told, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I've actually documented that in another video on my channel. I understood the calorie deficit, but I made this mistake that I'm talking about right now. I went too hard, too fast. There were multiple times where I burned out, where I failed, where I gave up, where I had to jump back on the horse, where I cried myself to sleep, where I binged on food. Literally every mistake in the book, I made it. But the point of the story that I want to reinforce here, I want you to take away from it, is that it wasn't until the final few weeks, month 4, when I saw visual changes around my belly. This photo here, and you can see the time and date stamps of all these photos to prove that I'm not BSing you, was 3 weeks away from me hitting my lowest weight. And as you can tell, yeah, I've lost a lot of weight, but I'm in no way ripped. Fast forward 3 weeks and look at the transformation. That's probably only about 5 pounds of fat of the 45 that I lost in total. But it's a significant visual transformation in just 3 weeks. It's a little bit like the meme of the diamond miner, which I'm going to put on the screen right now. You could be doing everything right. You could be on the right path, but not moving necessarily as fast as you want, not getting the results as fast as you think you deserve. But you might be just an inch away from getting everything that you want. So as long as you've ticked the first box, you've created that calorie deficit, the next most important thing and the next biggest reason that holds so many people back from achieving their goals is having the patience and being consistent. Reason number 3 is that people are working out, but they're working out in the wrong way. Let me explain. You cannot spot reduce fat. Like I said right at the beginning of this video, the way you lose fat is going to be dictated by your hormones and your genetics. And for most people, that means the last place they're going to lose fat is on their belly. It might sound logical that doing exercises like leg raises or crunches is the best way to burn belly fat, to burn the fat on top of your abs. But it's actually counterproductive. And that's because the abdominal muscles are actually relatively small in comparison to some of the other bigger muscles in your body. So what we really want you to be doing is what we call compound movements. Exercises like squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, lunges, push-ups, dips, pull-ups, or anything else like that that uses the biggest muscles in your body. And the reason for that is that the bigger the muscle, the harder your body has to work to contract that muscle. The harder your lungs have to work to bring enough oxygen in. The harder your heart has to work to pump that oxygen in the blood to the muscle so that it actually can contract. So the bigger the muscle and the more weight that you lift, the bigger the contraction. And the bigger the contraction, the more calories that you burn, and the easier it's going to be for you to lose more fat. So yeah, prioritize compound movements and don't worry too much about specific ab exercise. And whatever you do, stay a million miles away from the YouTube videos that'll tell you can get abs in 7 minutes. Reason number 5 is that even though you might be prioritizing the wrong type of exercise, most people are prioritizing exercise over just trying to live a more healthy and active lifestyle. Even if you were to work out like Arnold Schwarzenegger and be in the gym 6 days a week for 2 hours at a time, you would only be spending about 7% of your week in the gym. But let's say you're not Arnold Schwarzenegger and you want to work out like a regular person, maybe get to the gym 2, 3, or even 4 times a week. That means you're going to be spending less than 3% of your week in the gym. So I think it's fair and I think it's logical to say that what you do outside of the gym, in the 97% of the time that you're not there, is going to be far more impactful and far more important when it comes to your weight loss and fat loss journey. And this is exactly why trying to live a more healthy and active lifestyle is so important. And the best way that you can do that is prioritize walking every single day. If you were to walk 10,000 steps every day, you would burn anything from 300 to 500 calories. That means that if you're at the top end of that spectrum, burning 500 calories by walking 10,000 steps, in any given week, you could burn 3,500 calories, which, remember, is the number of calories that you would need to burn to lose 1 pound of fat. That's pretty crazy if you think about it. That means you could change nothing else. You could eat the exact same amount. You wouldn't even have to go to the gym, and you would still lose one of these every single week. But I'm not just talking about walking here. That's just the easiest example I can think of. What I want you to think about is how you can mindfully live a more healthy and active lifestyle. If you have a garden, get out there and garden. If you have children, get out and be more active with them. If you have a dog, walk it twice a day instead of once a day. If you have a partner, have more sex with them. If you have to commute to your job, why don't you try walking or cycling there instead of driving? Try to take the stairs rather than the escalators or the elevators. There's so many ways that you can live a healthier and more active lifestyle. The key is to be more mindful and conscious, and to think about ways that you can implement it into your lifestyle. Because even though all those activities in isolation might not burn many calories, if you were to build 3 or 4 of them into your daily or weekly routine, those numbers would quickly add up. Reason number 6 that so many people struggle to lose belly fat is that they're in a calorie deficit, but they're eating terribly. They're focused on the quantity of their calories, but not on the quality of their calories. The reality is the quantity of the calories that you eat is going to dictate your fat loss and the rate of fat loss. But the quality of your calories is going to dictate the quality of your life. We've seen extreme examples of this in the past where people learn about calorie deficits and they think, oh, well, I'll just go and eat McDonald's every day. And as long as I'm in a calorie deficit, I'll lose fat. And it's like, yeah, you will, but you'll feel terrible. As I say, that's a very extreme example that not many people are going to do. And even if they do try it, they're going to stick to it for like 2 days before they absolutely hate McDonald's. And whilst I really want to stress that the quantity of the calories is the first sort of big lever to pull, and it's very important, you want to make sure that you're at least putting some focus on the quality of your calories as well. A great example of this comes courtesy of one of my clients. He was in a calorie deficit and he was tracking his calories, but he didn't feel like he was seeing much change, and he certainly didn't feel great. So we took a deep dive into his food diary on MyFitnessPal, and it was pretty obvious what was going wrong. The quality of his calories was terrible. He was having junk food at least 2 to 3 times a week, and he was drinking alcohol every single weekend. So I challenged him to cut out processed and junk food for 14 days just to see what would happen. And I'll put the results on the screen right now. As I said, these photos are just 2 weeks apart, and the reality is he actually only lost about 2 pounds of fat in that time. But see how different these photos look. And that all comes down to the quality of the calories. He was eating the same amount. He only lost 2 pounds of fat. But look how much inflammation around his gut he was able to get rid of just by improving the quality of his calories. The quality of your calories is going to dictate your gut health. And your gut health is actually going to have a huge impact on your mental health. And that's because 90 to 95% of your serotonin, your feel-good, happy hormone, is actually produced in your gut. So if you've got terrible gut health, you're not able to produce that much serotonin. If you're not able to produce that serotonin, you're just not going to feel that good. You're not going to feel that happy. And if you don't feel that good, if you don't feel that happy, you're not going to have that get up and go, that energy, that drive that makes this whole process a lot easier. As well as that, if you're constantly eating high sugar, high fat snacks and sweets and treats, but you're staying within your calorie deficit, you're actually kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because you're constantly going to be having a lot of cravings. Your blood sugar levels are going to be all over the place. All of this is going to feel so much harder. So as I say, the quantity of the calories is crucial, making sure you're in that calorie deficit. But don't overlook the quality of your calories. Try to limit, if not completely cut out, the amount of processed and junk food that you're eating. Aim to eat plenty of whole food, plenty of protein, and plenty of fiber. The sixth reason might sound a little bit funny, but hear me out. People aren't going to bed on time. The way I look at it is that there's 3 pillars to health. You've got your sleep, you've got your nutrition, and you've got your movement. And I used to think that they held equal importance. But the longer that I've been doing this, I realize now that sleep is the bedrock of health. And getting enough high quality sleep is going to make you feel superhuman. Sleep is also a very high leverage activity. You can do one thing, going to bed on time and getting more sleep and getting high quality sleep and more regularity with your sleep, and it's going to benefit so many areas of your life. The downstream effects from that one action are amazing. And that's because of the positive effects that sleep has on your hormone regulation. One of the primary functions of sleep is to bring all of your hormones back into balance. But I'm not just talking about your sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen. We're talking about all your hormones, whether it's your cortisol, your stress hormone, which we've already spoken about, or your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. And that's really important, because when those hormones are completely out of whack, when your cortisol is really high and you're super stressed out, what's going to happen? You're going to reach for more food. When your leptin is low and you don't feel full, you're going to reach for more food. When your ghrelin is really high and you feel hungry all day long, you're going to reach for more food. So getting enough sleep, making sure that you're regular with your sleep, and getting high quality sleep is super important when it comes to this process, because it's going to keep you on track. The best 2 things that you can do with your sleep is to clean up your sleep environment. So very simple things here is to make sure your room is cold, make sure your room is dark, make sure your room is quiet. So we're talking blackout blinds, we're talking earplugs, we're talking aircon, or at least a fan. And then the other thing to do is to try to stick to what I like to call the 3-2-1 rule, where you stop eating 3 hours before you go to sleep, you stop drinking anything, including water or alcohol or coffee, although you should not be drinking coffee 2 hours before you go to bed, and you stop looking at screens an hour before you go to sleep, whether that's scrolling on social media on your phone, looking at work on your laptop, or watching Netflix on your TV. The 7th and second to last reason that so many people struggle with this stuff is that they become obsessed with the scales. You have to remember that your body weight is very different to your body fat. Earlier on, I spoke about the impact that cortisol and water weight is going to have on this whole process. And that's going to have a profound effect if you're stepping on the scales every single week, because you might be in a caloric deficit. It might be a very aggressive calorie deficit. You might be losing 1, if not 2 pounds of fat every single week. But if you don't see that change reflected on the scales every week, it can be very deflating. But the reality is your weight is so much more than just your body fat. In fact, the vast majority of your weight is your water weight. And when you're trying to change, when you're trying to lose body fat, your cortisol is going to be elevated. When your cortisol is elevated, so is the amount of water that your body is holding on to. So if you know for a fact that you're in a calorie deficit and you're getting on the scales every single week, but you've plateaued for the last week or 2, don't be disheartened, because what you'll probably find, in fact, no, it's not even probably, what you'll definitely find is that maybe the next week, maybe it's 2 more weeks, that weight will suddenly come off and you'll be rewarded by seeing the scales drop, let's say 5 pounds. You also have to remember that your weight is not reflective of your self-worth. At the end of the day, your weight is just your gravitational pull to this planet. And that's all. Let me put it another way for you. If you were to land on the moon today, you would be 16% of your weight that you are on Earth. Would you suddenly feel a heck of a lot better about yourself? Probably not. In fact, I expect you'd be pretty freaked out. Why the heck am I on the moon? The point of reason number 7 is there are many ways to measure your progress. So start logging how you feel. What's your energy level like? How are your clothes fitting? Have you got any compliments from other people? What's your sex drive like? And take regular progress photos as well. Last but not least, reason number 8 is that people aren't saying their environment up right. Imagine you had a friend and they came to you and said, hey man, I've got something really hard to tell you. I'm an alcoholic. What's the first thing that you would advise them to do? It would be to pour all the alcohol that they've got in their house down the toilet. So if you're trying to lose weight, the same advice applies to you. Get all of the temptations, anything that you would consider a vice, out of your house, because out of sight, out of mind. If we put that little barrier in front of you where you have to get up and go to a supermarket to get that sweet treat that you absolutely love, there is a chance, a pretty significant chance, that you're going to stop in your tracks and not do it. But when I talk about your environment, I don't just mean what's in your fridge and your cupboards. Make sure that you're spending time with positive people who are holding you accountable and who are supportive of you and your goals. Consume the right content, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever else it might be. A great example of what not to do is don't watch food channels, and use environmental cues to set yourself up to win. Put a fruit bowl in the middle of your kitchen, so whenever you're hungry, want a snack, you're at least gonna snack on some fruit. Get your workout clothes out the night before you go to the gym in the morning. Leave your supplements in an obvious place in your kitchen or your bathroom so that you see them every single day and don't forget to take them. So there you have it, guys, the 8 reasons why 93% of people never lose their belly fat. Hopefully this video has given you peace of mind. Hopefully it's helped you to figure out what's been holding you back and stopping you from reaching your goals. And listen, I get it. I've done it myself. Losing body fat, and in particular belly fat, is notoriously difficult. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Do the basics well and do them consistently. Get in a calorie deficit. Make sure that you're focusing on the quality of your calories as well as the quantity of your calories. Get enough sleep, eat enough protein, drink enough water, spend time with the right people, clean up your environment, prioritize living an active lifestyle over working out, work out in the right way, focusing on those compound movements, and don't go too hard, too fast, and burn out. Remember, direction and trajectory trumps speed. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, but more importantly, I hope you found it really useful, motivational. Like I said, I hope it's given you that peace of mind. If you have, and you want to show your support, then I would absolutely love it if you could smash the thumbs up button to like the video. Drop a comment. Let me know which of the 8 reasons you feel like has been holding you back. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss the next video. And until then, bye.